Greetings, peace, everyone. Welcome to Community Radio. I'm your host, Kim, and today is Tuesday. Again, I have to remind myself my days are kind of running together a little bit. Um, Today is Tuesday, and we are back with another segment of Community Radio. Before I get started, or before we get into topics today, I just want to remind everybody the number to call is 347 945 7680. And if you'd like to be heard, just press the number 1. I don't have a set topic, so anything that you would like to discuss or if you have any questions, the floor is open. I'm going to let you all decide the topic today. I've had a few things going through my mind about what to talk about, but I really like to hear from you all and see what's going on with you and what you would like to discuss. I wanted to send a shout out to all the ladies that were on the call last night. Again, if you would like to be a part of that, you can go to anewlifeglobal.org and sign up, and just make sure you let us know that you want to be on the Monday's call for women. It's for women only, female students just coming into some of Chief's teachings and the class and coursework. And we discuss a lot of things, not only, just the classes or whatever, but it serves as like a community for women to kind of vent and to deal with some of our stuff. Sometimes we have to realize that some of these things that we need to talk about are best discussed amongst, your women discuss things amongst women. We have to separate it sometimes. So we get into those conversations. We had a good one last night. So thank you all the ladies that were on the call. If you'd like to sign up for any of the classes, those are the classes that I facilitate and the ones that Chief has put up. For example, a new spiritual training phase 1, as well as the Orisha class. Go to seduluhouse.com and you can sign up there. We have a lot of things going on right now that are about to come out. The men's group is getting together. I still don't have all the details on it, but as soon as I find out, I will definitely announce it and let you all know what's going on with the men's group. So again, I'm going to let you all choose the topic today. I don't really have a topic. I was going to talk about relationships and, what to do after the relationship has maybe dissolved or fallen apart, the aftermath of what we do. And I recently came across an article about, I think it's Shorty Lowe, had recently passed away. And he was supposed to do a reality show or a TV show on, I think it was called Baby's Mamas or something like that. He has a few children by a few different women. And so now that he's passed away, what's the aftermath? How are these women going to interact with each other and as well as the siblings, the children, how are they going to interact with each other now that he's no longer there to manage that? And also, why the show didn't happen or why it was canceled. So I was just kind of thinking about that a little bit. I didn't get to fully do my research on it, so we can kind of pick that up a little bit later. But if you are familiar with the situation, feel free to chime in. Again, like I said, it is a community show, so feel free to chime in with your questions or comments or whatever you'd like to speak on today. Just press the number 1. Recently, we've been discussing Birth of a Nation, which we really didn't even get a chance to get into the movie. So maybe we'll come back and visit that. But I'm going to go to a call real quick. This is 813.
Maybe it might have been my phone too. But greetings, okay. Kim. How you doing?
Greetings. Peace. I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. And it's funny that you choose this topic again because I had an experience yesterday.
Okay.
And I was speaking to my boo, and I was thinking to myself like about this issue that I'm having with my son's mother. I felt like I needed to get some male father, like someone in my peers' father's advice. So I'm gonna put this question out to the fathers, but you know, I definitely want to hear the woman's point of view on this one. This was the situation last night after I took my son Halloween trick-or-treating. And afterwards, my son was upset because he wanted to come home with me, and we were over his mother's house last night. So he was upset, and he was tearing up, crying, and I told him, it's like we've been together the whole weekend from Friday all the way out till Monday, and even today for Halloween. You haven't seen your mom in this whole week, and even last week. You're seeing your mom very little in comparison to how you're seeing how much you're seeing me. And I truthfully believe that the relationship between the woman and the male, or the son and the mother, should be very strong. You know?
Should be what?
Should be very strong. Should be a very strong bond between them two. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's just I've been going through like issues with her, and let's say for her, she's too busy. She's a real. I find that I put myself in a situation where, well, we're in a situation where, say that the children are taken care of very well by my son, and she has another son from another person, and they're being taken care of by their fathers financially, and placed in private schools and certain environments where the mother is able to run freely and do more things. So I find her working and trying to make money doing her work and focus more on that than actually spending quality time with the children. Okay? And that's just overall with her, you know what I'm saying? And this is from the outside looking in also. It's my view looking inside of her house. And I'm looking at my son, and he's just like, he's wanting to stay with me more and hang out with dad more. And I spend a high amount of time with my child. You understand what I'm saying? I spend more time. The way I feel, I spend more time with my child than she does. So, and even on that same note, is like the time that I do spend with my child, it's mainly we mainly do things together all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, I last night when I got home, and I just had a wild experience with that. So I was really thinking to myself, like, you know, should I, as a man, tell her that she needs to spend more quality time with her son, because I believe that he needs a more greater relationship with you. Should I have to say that to her, or should that be like said by another woman, or should that not even be said at all? Or, you know, it's not like we're in the same household. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to ask that question to the audience on that one, because I was looking for a male point of view, and I already have a semi-female point of view, but I would love to hear the expression on that.
Okay. Actually, I think this is Brother Byron. He just chimed in, so I'm going to bring him in and see what he is going to contribute. Greetings, Byron. How are you?
Greetings, Sister Kim. We're doing very well. Thank you. First of all, I want to say, greetings, Brother Anwar. Greetings. First of all, I want to say, Modu pray for the show on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's the evening now in the UK, so I've just come in from work this morning.
Okay.
I had to get up maybe 5, 6 o'clock to get a train for a couple of hours. And the segment lasted for the whole journey.
Oh, good.
And when I got into the meeting, it was perfect. And when I got into my meeting now, everything was just cool. So, Bodu pray for putting me in the right spirit this morning. Thank you. Thank you. With regard to Brother Anwar, okay. So, Brother Anwar, can I ask you a question, Brother Anwar? How old is your child that we're speaking about?
The one I'm speaking of is my 7-year-old.
7-year-old, okay. And I want to ask another question. How long is it since you and the child's mother have not been together? How many months or years is that?
Almost about 6.
6 years, okay.
Yeah, we separated when we turned 1.
Okay.
Now, just a little bit more background. Let me just give you a little dose of background information. The problem with her is that she has a very wild view. Now, culturally, we're not on the same cultural level in way of life that we live in, same kind of environment. So we're going to put that one out there. That one's already there. Okay, and she's told us about that one. Her personally, she has a very she has a displacement when it comes down to men in her life. She has a very hard way to talk to men and to most people, but mainly men. From what I get at, she has a very hard shell that she puts up when dealing with men. So I'll just put that information out there.
Okay, thank you. So, Brother Anwar, first of all, the child is 7. He's shortly going to be 8. And he's entering that phase of parenting. So I look on the first 7 years is when the child, yes, dad's around, but the child is closer to the mother. The male child I'm talking. The child is closer to the mother because he's in its first cycle of life. A few songs ago, we spoke about the cycles of life. We looked at conception, infancy, being a boy, adolescence, young man, etc. So he's in that first cycle, but he's ending that cycle when he becomes an 8-year-old. An 8-year-old child, he's out of that cycle, yeah. And at that time, it's very obvious and clear to me that's when you should be having much time with him, trying to influence and raise him as a young man coming up, and how to deal with life. You're giving him skills, you're giving him experiences that will make him an upstanding young man going into his adulthood. So I think it's right that you have time with him to develop that relationship between you and he. The second thing I'm going to say is that you're not in a position to tell your former wife anything. You are not the man in her life. You are an ex-husband. So you are in a situation where you can raise concerns or issues and reason them out if she's willing to do that. But you're not in a situation where she has to listen to anything that you say or respond positively to anything that you say, because her relationship is over and she is free to give the words that you say any amount of importance that she chooses to put on it. It's not very nice words I'm saying, Brother Anwar, but it is the reality of the situation. You openly stated that she has another man in her life. So my advice for you in this particular situation, and Brother Anwar, it sounds to me that there is it sounds to me that you haven't fully got over the relationship with your ex. I'm picking that up in the vibrations from when you're speaking.
Well, let's be real with that real quick. It's a love-hate relationship. I don't like her. I really don't like her. I really, as where I'm at now in my life, relating to somebody that's similar to her, I couldn't. Just with the intellectual process that's not occurring. I'm for that relationship, I'm completely over it. I understand why I went through that cycle. Ifa had directed me through that, and I got a very big grasp of that. I agree with what you say on the second point, though. I'm not in a place to sit there and tell her to do anything, but my question was really related to, should I advise her or say something to her about a situation that I feel like I'm seeing, or am I just raising awareness to something that's really not there?
Okay, so I understand the question, Brother Anwar, but I'm just responding to you in the way that what's of the information that's coming to me.
Yeah, it's good wisdom too.
So with regard to with regard to what you just said that you don't like your ex. It's a love-hate relationship, if I heard you correctly. Well, I recall a segment from Chief Yuya where he said that there's a very close relationship between love and hate because they are strong emotions that individuals will feel. And that tends to just confirm what I was sensing, that there's something there, Brother Anwar, okay? So with regard to how you want her to relate to your son, or how you would like her to parent your son, I would suggest that you try to communicate with her and meet her somewhere neutral. Just say that you'd like to have a discussion about the welfare of your son. I would meet her somewhere neutral and just calmly and easily raise your perspectives to her. Now, bearing in mind you're not around the child when she is around the child generally, so you may have a sense or your own sense of how long she spends with the child, but that might not be accurate based on what she might tell you in that discussion. So be open to hear information that contradicts what you said today, because you're not around 24/7, Brother Anwar. But I would definitely meet somewhere neutral, raise your concerns, and also propose solutions. Well, hear what she says. So she might say, well, that is the case, that is not the case. Hear what she says, but then propose solutions for her to consider. Okay? Now, bearing in mind she's got another man in her life, she's got to consider all of that and balance everything out, as well as what the information that you're saying to her. But that is the way that I would approach it, Brother Anwar.
Okay.
Additionally, I would suggest that you may want, the next time you have a session with Chief personally, is that you might want to ask him to give you some information about your relationship to your former wife, because it feels as though something is still there, and if you want that not to be there, then you may need to do a bit of work with Chief for everything there to be calmed down. I'm talking about emotions.
Well, emotionally.
Because Brother Anwar, I'm a person I'm on my second marriage. So I have been through a divorce, and then a period of being single, and then remarrying. Once the first relationship ends, Brother Anwar, it's like you're trying to stop an ocean liner. So the marriage is going in a direction. The adults agree that the marriage is over. But ocean liner, by the time the captain applies the brake to the ocean liner, and for the ocean liner to stop, it might be 30, 40, 50, 60 knots. There's energy and there's residue there until things finally pause and come to a standstill. It's the same in relationships with couples. Yeah, the relationship ends, the adults agree that the relationship's going to end, but there's emotional stuff going on for a period of time, and that time can vary between couples until the relationship then ends, and then people are free. When I say free, I'm talking spiritually and emotionally free to then develop further relationships. So I'd suggest that you may want to speak with Chief Yuya about that next time you have a one-to-one with him.
Okay. Thank you, Brian, for
the final thing that I wanted to say is, you gave me more information about your ex than you did about your boy. But the issue was about your boy. Mm-hmm. That's just I'm just reflecting that back to you. Okay. Let me respond a little bit, and thank you for your wisdom. Okay, Brian. No problem. With what you're saying, I'm listening. One of the things maybe I have to clarify or stop using the term is like the word is like I don't like her. Honestly, we've been friends since we were in 11th grade, and we're friends, but we're not close friends. Okay. With her, I don't see any further love relationship or any kind of
relationship like that. I've come to a very good understanding of that, and I wouldn't. Like I said, the cultural barrier that's between my household and her household is different, and maybe I need to rephrase that because I've said it a couple times about her that I don't like her. But really, it's not that I don't like her. It's the fact that I don't respect the culture that she's putting in her household, which I can have my opinion on, but it's her household, and she can decide to have whatever she has in her household. I'm not. What's the word? I'm not stating that she's a bad mother. I'm more stating that I think she needs to spend more time with her son on a more personal level instead of really just being in the household and him doing something else and she doing something else. And instead of having like me and my son have family dinners, we eat together. That's one of the things that once we're ready to eat dinner, we shut off the TV. We talk about our day. We do have conversations amongst the meal. We do a lot of just me as take the garden for example. He helped me build it. I should have shown him how to use a hammer. And that's me as a man dealing with my son. Now, my son's emotional state with everything seems to be very, very, very cool and happy when he's around me. And when he gets to his mom's house, and I need to ask him this question, and I'm glad you asked, you raised that point about my son and his emotions and how he is that I have to ask the question to my son on how he feels at his mother's house. Does he feel like something's not there? And that was a question that me and my friend was speaking of last night. Is like maybe I need to ask some questions with my son to really get to an understanding of how he feels when he's around his mom. So I appreciate the information, definitely.
Yeah, so you can try to influence your ex-wife through conversation and raising your concerns with her. But the most important thing that you can do for your son is to have regular and consistent time with him, so he understands that you're a reliable father. So you make an arrangement to meet with him. He's coming for 3 days, 4 days. Then you're consistently always there, never letting him down. Because from now until he becomes a young man to leave home, he's going to be needing you more so than he's going to be needing his mother, because you are going to be showing him how to be a man. And be also aware, he might often get mixed messages, because I don't know about your ex-wife's new husband. I don't know anything about him. So you might be telling him to walk one way.
She's currently single right now. I don't know if there was a clarification on that. She's currently single right now too. So
okay.
That she has a second child also, which, and once again, it's dealing with dealing with her own issues, and these are some of her personal issues that she's probably going to have to grow out of. Is that her last relationship was about had a child, and within the year, father's out the house type situation. So it was very similar to our relationship. But I've known her for, like I said, since the 11th grade. I'm 39 now. So it's not that not that we didn't have a certain relationship. There's just a certain path that I went on and a certain path that she remained on. So,
Brother Anwar, it sounds quite complicated.
What is it never? What is it easy?
It sounds quite complicated. Listen to me for a second. It sounds quite complicated, yeah, because you've told me about some of how you perceive some of the characteristics of your ex, but you chose her and you've known her from the 11th grade.
Right.
So what I would suggest is that you speak in detail with Chief Uriah for him to do some support, provide some support to you in the situation.
Yes.
I think I've given what I can give to you in terms of my experience of being a father and that being that constant bass drum in your son's life. You're that regular beat. You're that regular bass drum there, always in his life, consistent, earthy, strong, showing him how to be a man.
Right.
And developing that close relationship and maintaining that all the way through his formative years.
Right. Just to add to that, now I also have an 18-year-old. Okay, I have an 18-year-old, and I've gone through these times, similar times like this also. So
you got an 8-year-old son, 8-year-old daughter.
I have an 18-year-old son.
Okay, son. Okay, sorry.
So I've gone through these times, and one of the things that I always question, I'm always questioned about parenting. I speak to a lot of elders. I try to always speak to people that have children. And it's just funny how the conversation that Kim initiated with the single parents, or I really don't like I said, I don't use the term single parents at all. I just parents in different households. And I'm constantly with my children. My 18-year-old now my 18-year-old, and I don't know if anyone else has experienced this with 18-year-olds, is that they go through their time where he's in a time right now that I'm first experiencing from my life, that it's time for him to go away from the nest. So he's very I don't want to say detached, but he's very to himself all over the place. Bought him a car. I've only seen him twice since I bought the car. So it's those type of things, you know what I'm saying? And
that's standard, man. That's standard.
Yeah, it is. And my biggest concern was listening to the advice that's been given through the community shows and Zadula House and Enlightenment and Transformation. Is sometimes is there a place? Would it be too late if I have to sit there and tell her about the situation, or give her a voice or opinion on the situation from my point of view, or should it be told to her by a woman? Or should I speak to my son first to get all the? Well, that's one of the things I've been planning on doing, speaking to my son first to get all the point of views of the situation, and then if I need to, maybe speak to her directly, or find maybe one of her closer friends that I can sit there and say, this is something.
Are we talking about your 7-year-old? Are we talking about your 7-year-old son now? Are we talking about your 7-year-old son at the moment, Brother Anwar, or your 18-year-old?
Yeah, my 7-year-old. My 18-year-old son, I've learned to kind of go with the days.
Okay. With the 7-year-old, Brother Anwar, you try to limit any involvement of that child in adult business. Yeah? Mm-hmm. If you've got a fundamental understanding of how he sees the amount of time he spends with his mum, then just accept it as it was given to you. But I would limit down to 0 any involvement of that child in any discussions about this with your ex. This is adult business, and you're talking about how you and her are going to agree, hopefully, willfully, to raise your son in the future. And I don't think he needs to be involved in that debate.
I agree.
Yeah, you've got the information, what you've got from him. And that's it. He needs to be playing or with auntie or uncle somewhere, whilst you and the mum talk.
Right. Now, another thing I've seen on the outside now, so looking on the outside in, is that she has a 2-year-old child. My 7-year-old son's mother also has a 2-year-old child. And in my household, I believe that a child should have the time to be a child. You know what I'm saying? Some of the duties that I've noticed just being in the environment with her is that she gets him to do certain things that I believe that she should be doing. And I can understand the responsibility level that she's trying to place from her older son to her younger son, and putting that into effect. But I think certain things like preparing baby
your
bottles.
Child of Anwar? Is it 2-year-old your child?
Yeah, her oldest son and my child. So okay, let's just be clear. she has 2 children. She has my oldest son, which is 7, and she has a younger child, which is another man's child, which is 2. And taking that there's not a man in her house right now, and she's in her house with the 2 children. And it seems for the times that I am over her house that Elijah, that's his name, that's my son's name, he's taking on some of the responsibilities of taking care of his younger brother by preparing certain things, like the bottle, for example. And I find it to be a little certain things on that note. I think there's certain things that you should be aware of preparing. A woman should be prepared of taking care of a child. And I just think that some of the time, I personally feel like most of the time that they're in the house together, that she's probably off doing something in one area of the house, and they're over somewhere else doing something in another area of the house. So, but once again, that's just this is assumption. I don't live in the house 24/7. I don't know exactly how the house goes.
Brother Anwar, I don't mean to disrespect you in any way, but it sounds that you are emotionally, there's still an emotional connection there for you to be observing the 7-year-old boy doing a chore to help his little 2-year-old boy in that type of detail. It just feels to me that there's a connection there for you to work through, and I think the best thing to do would be to have a private conversation with Chief Yuya about all of this, because the more you talk, Brother Anwar, the more information that you're giving to me, and the more I'm coming to a view that there's still an emotional connection there between you and her in some capacity.
Okay.
So I would just say I'm not going to tell you not to stop talking, but I think the solution would be found through speaking to Chief Yuya more so than speaking to me. I think I've done what I can do based on what you initially presented.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I agree. I will say that this conversation also has given a lot of good insight. Thank you, and it's things that I can think about. So, definitely. Yeah. And that's the reason why I raised the question, because I know most likely I'm not the only one that goes through these types of thoughts. And for anybody else that's online, men, women, anyone want to chime in on it, I would love to hear ideas on it. Because it is.
Brother Anwar, as a man that's been through a divorce, sometimes when you're going through that process of divorce, it can be a consuming. It can mentally consume you. You can put a lot of emotional energy and thought energy into your previous relationship, and that is natural, because you were once together and now you're not, and we're flesh and blood. We're not made out of stone. There's feelings. So so I would just recommend speak to Chief Yuya, my brother, and I'm sure everything will work out okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I would also say that there was a very large healing process that happened after that situation. After I separated from my son's mother, there was a very large healing process I went through. I even went into a relationship that showed me a higher view of what relationship. And from that point, even though that relationship ended, from that point, I learned a lot more about where I was as a man, what I wasn't doing, and analyzing the negatives that I was bringing into relationships, alongside of seeing what I had positive inside of those relationships. And that second relationship after after I had my son Elijah, really was a very, very great experience for me, because it was a very life-changing experience. And it took me. I went into a lot of inner reflection of myself when we separated from that relationship, because I actually started seeing a lot of things that I wasn't doing correctly, and I wasn't doing in alignment into a good union. asking critical questions. You know, that was one of the things that relationship taught me, is asking those critical questions before you really get into a depth of a relationship. So, you know, the healing process from leaving the situation with Elijah's mother and getting into another relationship that showed me something that I needed to know and needed to learn and needed to grow from, to ending that relationship, to going into where I'm at now. Now I seem to have a better understanding of how relationships should be and have a clearer outlook to what I want. So, you know, it was just it's that learning process that we get from our relationships and our situations. And you know, we should have learned a lot of these relationship questions and relationship situations from our parents. But I come from a separate home.
Anwar, before I pass this to Kim, Brother Anwar, I just want to commend you as a father for making sure that your son is in the apple of your eye, and for considering him constantly and in the way that you do. That is how fathers should behave, whether they are living in the same household with a child or if they are separated. So I wanted to commend you for that, and to encourage you just to keep it up, man. But I'm gonna hand back to Sister Kim. I'm sure she's still there.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Brother Anwar?
All right, thank you, Byron.
Brother Anwar, you've got my number, so you just give me a shout when you speak, man.
Yeah, you know I hit you up, man. You know I hit you up.
All right, then.
Okay. All right, brother. Have a good day.
I'm going to stay online. I'm going to pass it back to Sister Kim now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Byron, for your input. I heard a lot of things as you were speaking, Anwar, and this is something that, you know, Chief kind of discusses in his book, Solutions for Dysfunctional Families, on how to manage the relationship, you know, when there's a split camp, is what he says. So one thing that I wanted to say is that, you know, you guys are in separate households now. And one thing that Chief says about women is that when a woman has a child, usually she does not grow past that age or past that point. She's kind of stuck there. And so what you were saying about healing is important, because however your relationship was when you all were together, like, she's probably still stuck there. Like, you have grown and changed and moved on, you know, and have, you know, invested in improving yourself and whatnot. And maybe she has, I'm not sure, but you're going in two different directions. So she wasn't with you, like, along your journey of self-discovery and, you know, all this stuff that you're learning now. So, of course, she has no respect for it or reverence for it or even acknowledgement of it, because she's not on that path with you and she's not journeying with you. So she's dealing with something, you know, something completely different. So to kind of expect her to see your points and to adhere to what you're saying is almost impossible, because she's like, what are you talking about? You weren't this way when we were together. She hasn't moved past that point. She probably still sees you as that person. Another thing is that, you know, women are rarely single. You know, we say single just because she's not romantically involved with someone else. Like you said, she has another child by another man. So she's getting stuff in her ear from him. She's hearing stuff in her ear from you. And at the same time, she's trying to, I guess, head her own household as well. So she's probably completely confused about what to do or what she should be doing. So she's just focusing on, okay, well, let me go to work, make sure that I have money for this child. You know, everything else is probably in complete disarray because she's got all of this stuff going on. And another thing is that, you know, you were saying, you know, like the love part of the relationship is is done for you. And it's probably done for her. I mean, she moved on and had another child by someone else. But sometimes it's hard, especially when she's got two men in her ear. And I don't know if she's you said she's not with the other guy either. So it's like women don't know how to let a man lead sometimes when they're not romantically involved either. So there's no, like in her eyes, there's no relationship with either man. She has to be the man. And she's not trying to hear what you have to say or the other man either. So it's almost like, you're trying, you're coming at her from a different place where you've kind of grown and everything, but she hasn't. Or she's confused and she's trying to manage things and be the man in her own household, herself. So sometimes it's hard, a hard juggle or a difficult balance for a woman. She doesn't know how to be or who to listen to or even how to relinquish that power to step back and let the man decide, because there's two men. So really you're like in a polyamorous relationship where she has more than one husband. Like I said, rarely are women single just because they're not romantically involved. Like there's some male influence in her ear, somewhere, and you're dealing with two. And I was going to ask you, have you even talked to the other child's father too? And another thing is that, even your son, like he's witnessing all of this. So he's seeing his mother deal with two different men, and he's saying that there is no connection with either one. So he's feeling that at the same time. And then you're telling him how things should be. This is how it should be. Your mom's not doing this, or I feel like, she needs to be more hands-on. Like she's not feeling any of that. She's not feeling it. She's not understanding it. She's not listening to it, because she's like the man in this relationship. She's, doing, going to work and everything. And really, it might even be like, maybe she even just sees you just as a break, like a sitter or something, like a babysitter when she's not around. So to come back, it's like you're a completely different person, but perhaps she's not. She hasn't been on that journey with you. So it's hard to, it's going to be difficult to try to employ what you feel should be done in her household when she's not coming under that culture. And she still has the residue left from the relationship as, how it was when you all were together. So she's not there to see any change in you, or to see, or even to feel the effects from this stuff. She just sees like maybe you're dictating to her how she's not doing something. But at the same time, you're not the head of her household, so she's not going to give it that much weight anyway.
I do.
Let me see. I'm going to go to another call real quick. This is 904. Greetings, you're on Community Radio. 904.
I love you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Greetings.
Hey, greetings. How you doing, sister? I was, listening in. This is Tareen. Tareen again. I don't know if y'all recognize this on Sunday show. I listen to y'all regularly now. Now I'm actually attending, on the phone calls now. So I got y'all now.
Okay.
But yeah, man, it's great, man. But I'm a single father, man. I got an 11-year-old son, and me and his mom, we weren't together. We just, was messing around and we had a baby or whatever. And she have other kids also, so she allowed me to, keep him, raise my son on my own and whatnot. And really, Sister Kim basically was saying, some of the points that I was gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Brother Anwar, as far as like trying to, get her to do that, coming from you. And I don't know, how sour, y'all relationship was, but yeah, like Sister Kim said, man, like she's really gonna bail against your instruction like that, especially if y'all didn't have that type of a, like a cool or good relationship with each other, and then you're not in that house, so it's a lot of doubt, a lot of stuff that she's gonna turn against. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a lot of stuff that you're saying, that's not gonna, really hold weight with her. I would just suggest, man, that if you can't talk to her, sit her down and just try to make some suggestions, like make light of a, conversation of, different things that, you think that, would help, the relationship with her and her son, and if that's not, if she's not, accepting that, then, you should just build your relationship with your son. And I mean, I think that he's going to need you more anyway, like, because he's a kid, he's a little boy, so he's going to need his father, more than he needs his mother, I think, to a certain degree, because you can teach him, everything really that he really needs to know that, his mom can't teach him. So, I just, that was my answer, but, it was 80%, too, so. I agree with that.
Anwar, have you ever considered just taking your son? Because a lot of times, when we talk about African culture and things, a lot of times when a breakup like that happens, the father usually takes the children. And the reason is because the man is more stable. Like, he's going to make sure certain things are provided for. And, of course, women, we're chaotic. So, especially with him being a son, have you ever considered just coming to her and saying, well, I can take care of him full time?
Right. Yes. Yes, I definitely have. Now, with the situation, and just to add, yes, I definitely have had that consideration. Have I ever said or spoke to her about that situation? No, I have not. We're very civil, and one thing about me and her, and one thing I respect about her. Now, I'm not saying she's a bad mother. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying. I'm more applying that maybe she needs to spend a little bit more personal, quality time with her sons, and more conversation to really get to know them a little bit more. What I'm more concerned about is not we're very civil. Like I said, we're very civil. We don't have arguments. We don't bicker. That's one thing that it took a while to get to this point, to make sure that as soon as we have a disagreement, we can actually talk through it. Now, initially, when we first separated, there was a lot of emotions running, and the fire. She's a fire sign as much as I am, so there's a natural instinct of just exploding inside of conversation. So we have gotten to a point where now the respect level between her and I, we can have conversations about situations, especially like this situation. I can mention this to her and have a conversation. I've actually already sent her a text one time and I said, Elijah needs some mommy loves me time. You know what I'm saying? So I can be very simple on it. And then I told her this is something I felt, maybe you should spend some time with them. And it's not that we can't communicate. That's not the case here. We can communicate and get to an understanding of things with our son. And like I said, we're very civil, so we don't really argue anymore. And as soon as someone raises their voice, it's like, yo, check the tone. Who are you talking to right now? And then we kind of go from that point. But my biggest concern was, and one of the things I have to do next time I see my son is have a just like a good normal conversation about how he feels in the household. If maybe I'm just pulling this out as something that I'm seeing from the outside in, or if this feeling that I'm feeling is just something that's just a transitional thing for him. You know, maybe he's just now wanting to be more around his dad, which I love for him to be with me. You know, he gives me so much inspiration on the day. But so just with that, it's just I need to do a little bit more research before I have a conversation with her directly about how I'm feeling about the situation. You know?
Yeah, because you know what, in her mind, what is mommy loves me time? What is that? Because if she's working full time and if she has assumed the role as the man in her household, that's how she's responding. So everybody in the household, like you said, is there to kind of support her as she's going out, you know, working all day, coming home, having to assume the role of the man. So what is mommy time for her? Because maybe she comes home, like I said, she wants a break, or she's exhausted or whatever. She may not even be able to tap into what being a mother is, because she's in such a masculine role right now that she's like, now you're telling me I gotta do this. I'm doing A, B, C, D, you know. So she's doing all these manly things, and then to say, you know, he needs more mommy time. Like, for her, what does that mean? Because like you said, he's fixing the bottles and things for the younger one, the younger brother. It's like, if she's the man in the house, who's going to be the woman? So she needs somebody in that household to be the woman. So it's going to be your son. He's the one that, you know, he's going to fall into that position, because she's in a masculine space right now. But, you know, it's a tough situation, just because she has more than one man, and like I said, she hasn't grown with you. So the things that you're telling her to implement, she's like, you know, whatever. I gotta work. You know, I'm working. I'm doing this. If something, you know, breaks down or whatever, I'm the one that has to repair it. I got to do this. I got to do that. You're almost like not there. Like I said, she may even treat you almost like you're a babysitter at this point. Like, it's not registering, because she's not in that space where she is a nurturer or a caretaker in the feminine sense. She has to be the man.
Let me add something to it. Out of our relationship, I'm the go-to guy for her. That's another thing. Okay. Because like, even her other baby daddy, he's not from what I'm getting, is that he's not as reliable as I am. You know, I pick him up four, maybe almost 5 times a week. It's fluctuating between 3, 4, 5 times a week. Let me be real clear on that. So I work my son those amount of days to do things where he might be with his son maybe once every 2 weeks or so. So when it comes down to, like, even like, she went out of town and I was watching my son. I had my son for like 4 or 5 weeks straight. She went out of town. Her mother was watching the younger one, and I had my son, taking him to school and so forth, so on. And during that time, she had some car. Her tires of the car went flat sitting in her driveway, so I had to go get the tires fixed for her car. So when she got back, she didn't have any situations. But I'm the go-to guy for her. You know what I'm saying? And one other thing I'll say is that one thing I do respect about her is that she has her experiences that she had growing up with her father, and taking her father and mother separated when she was 15. But for the experiences that she had growing up with her father, she states to me all the time, my dad taught me how to do that, so I expect you to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ride the bike, and he even teach her how to read and so forth, so on. Like, so certain things that her dad did for her, she puts those expectations on for me, which I have no problem doing, because I love to do those things anyway. And I'm very active. I'm not like a sit behind the TV type of person and not do nothing at the house. Man. So that's one thing I do. And once again, it's not that I've used that term as I don't like her, but truthfully, we are friends. We are friends, and we play very distinct roles inside of raising the child. And like even with her younger son, I'm the if anything happens, I'm the trustee if anything happens to her, and so the boys won't be separated. You understand what I'm saying?
Brother Anwar, can I speak? Brother Anwar?
Yes.
Hey, Brother Anwar. So you and this lady, you're no longer in a relationship, but you're her go-to guy.
Yeah. I was about to say something about that too, Byron.
You're her go-to guy. Yeah?
Yeah,
really? Really?
Yeah, that's
don't quantify anything, Brother Anwar. I'm reflecting your phrases back to you. If a woman describes me as a go-to guy, that means I ain't no regular Joe out there. I'm a go-to guy. You understand?
Right. She can call on you whenever she needs.